So a quick introduction on our Shadowrun game. We're up to session number 13. Survived 13 sessions of not killing each other off yet, which is quite good. And tonight we have online. We'll start with David.
Hello, I am David. I play Georgie, the apparently the smart one of the group. Oh, sorry, one third of the brains trust of the party, and awfully fond of making people's heads cave in with his sledgehammer.
Well, you only need to do it once.
Sorry?
You only need to do it once for a meeting in the mines.
Yeah. I consider it brain surgery.
If you found intellect to ensure that others aren't.
That's in poor taste.
Exactly. Oh, sorry, Martin.
Next person up we have is Martin.
Yes, I play Rakesh, a primalist. So I'm a city dwarf mage, basically.
Who's so totally not going to use his new fire on Georgie tonight.
Not at all.
Which does remind me, I should probably actually fix Georgie's name in the actual thing and the date of the game. So all those wonderful things I miss actually doing.
Go ahead.
So I got most things.
I think I'm done.
Okay. So yes, you are one day ahead of where you were last session. Okay, so and doing double duty today we have Jeremy.
Good evening, all. Yes, I'm playing Desmond Deadshot, the Elven wannabe ancient Doganger member. Grew up on the streets of Seattle, knows them like the back of his hand, and it will prove yet just how good he is on the bike that makes him worthy of the ancients. Also, I will be playing SoCal Burns, hopefully not being burnt by our fellow pilot, because hey, hopefully he won't necessarily be in the same room. He's the gang's tech support.
I'll try to be a bit more judicious.
Hey, trying is always worthwhile. Succeeding is even better.
Okay, it's important to try. But yeah, so SoCal Burns, tech support.
Jeremy, does this mean that we can call him Mr. Burns?
I suspect that he prefers to be called Mr. Burns, yes.
Okay.
He may be Mr. Burns Jr. for all we know. And so yes, last session you were busily shooting up some people who were trying to murder you while you were getting bodyguard work for Maria Mercurial, the hottest singer on the charts in the last 5 years.
You were shooting up defending the iconic pop star.
Well, you are her bodyguard. You legally get to shoot people up.
That's right.
So, nothing particularly bad about that. At least you don't have to worry about telling the police because you left before they arrived.
Yep.
And you also managed to take out with you her agent, who always likes to finish most sentences with, "Am I right?"
Ah!
When you say take out,
we brought the money bags with us.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You brought your paycheck with you, even though he's technically paid you up front.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to make him disappear.
Well, I guess technically we'll be paid for what he can't
He's a
do.
meat shield, so...
He is going to get a factory delete.
Well, he might just be hammer rest.
Control-Delete him from the system.
Is that where SoCal gets brought in, Mr. Burns?
I don't care as long as that guy dies, am I right?
And most of you dumped your phones. Only, I believe, Desrin and one other kept their phone.
I think that was...
Georgie's not even sure why he broke the phone, but everybody
because
else was doing it, or maybe he started it.
You started it. You were talking to your online contact who had been listening into your previous conversation and added in "Am I right?" on the end of it just to poke at you.
Ah, yes. I too enjoy burning things.
So
I think it might have been the cash for one actually, because Degwin managed to effectively remove the appropriate tactic, or rather turn off without destroying.
Yes, I believe it was you and Rakesh, the two smart ones, who managed to not destroy their phones. Because everyone else did what Georgie was doing, even though they now have no way of contacting their Johnson.
Well, can I buy a new one?
Well, Rakesh didn't destroy his, but he can buy another one. Unfortunately, at the moment, you have journeyed to the edge of Redmond, I believe.
On the boundary between Redmond and Bandadu.
And Bellevue, I believe.
Bellevue, that's the word, yes.
It's been a while for both of us there, Jeremy. And you have got yourself accommodation, which is tying up some of your cash flow, keeping you in this place that just accepts grid sticks.
Yeah.
So no name on the lease, as long as the money's paid. You put in a code, and that code is given to whoever you want it to have access to the place.
Yeah.
Best thing about the future is no need to actually automate and monitor things.
All works smoothly.
So yes, you are waking up to the sounds of Maria practicing.
La 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 la.
That's a good song.
Please never do that ever
She's still
again.
alive. That's good.
As she does a rendition of Sledgehammer to very much dub track.
Georgie will allow it.
And you have Max Foley, making some sort of bird offering in the kitchen, offering everyone breakfast with a smile on his face and say, "Just for you, am I right?"
Glorious.
He says, "Some days I am."
I guess I'm a Buddhist, so whatever the alternative is.
Well, actually, it's unlikely to be any animal product involved.
Yeah.
He picked it up from the vending machine in the front hall.
And Betty cooked it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, raw soy is not the best meal of the day.
Okay.
Don't worry, he splurged on you all. He spent a whole 10 credits on breakfast.
Delicious.
Yes, he's managed to incorporate the burnt smell into the meal so it gets away from the strong soy flavour.
Gross.
Alright. I'll make a list of everyone's comment number.
Well, that's fairly easily. You only need to get one number.
Yeah.
Now, just confirming what we know about the situation for Maria and Max. Maria came to Max asking Max to be her agent
after finding evidence that her previous agent Hernandez had been dealing in better than life dream chips.
Yes, which she had definite philosophical and possibly historical objections to. And
He's believed she was addicted to them at one stage in the media.
And we've also seen some evidence that potentially she's not entirely all there, or at least maybe there's too many of her who's there.
You've seen at least 3 distinct personalities.
Yep. We've been hired to be bodyguards for 5 days, which is the length of time until any final contract negotiations and cool downs as part of the transfer goes ahead. Is that right?
Yep, you got another 4 days to go. You've also been offered the deal to get the money that Hernandez owes Maria that he's holding.
Yep.
And at the same time, you may want to consider other options, because you've also got the other 3 runs ticking away behind, making people paranoid.
Yes. But Desmond's certainly keen to try and focus on the closest crocodiles to the boat. And we'd probably be encouraging the idea that it's worth finding out, if we can, more about Hernandez and to an extent also Max, as to if they had dealings or situations, just to confirm whether or not there might be other factors at play here. Now, the attack that occurred on Maria last night appeared to be a bunch of punk gangers type stuff, didn't they?
They looked to be, when you saw them, you remembered them from the same bar you went to get job as a Shadowrunner. So they are in the runner trade.
Right, yes, okay.
They may be as green as you are, or as green as you were.
Yep. But technically they're more than just street scum gang.
They were a little too specialised to be street gangs scum, especially the guns they were touting were not something street scum can get their hands on.
Yep. But we didn't necessarily have anything, or I can't remember them for myself. Did we find anything that connected them with anyone particular, e.g. Hernandez?
Not at this stage, but they were packing magic on top of tech, and you didn't get the mage.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah, because they had red eyes or something, didn't they?
They did, until they went down.
Okay. So, yes, I'm thinking that we certainly want to know more about this Hernandez character. Now, Hernandez, I think that Maria mentioned something about being Aslan more than just the name itself, wasn't it? Hernandez actually Aslan?
Hernandez came from Aslan. So let's see. I'll actually dig up his stats, and so what sort of bio you'll have been able to find out about him. He came from Aslan in the 20s.
And that's what, like, Maria also originated from Aslan too, didn't she?
She has the appearance of doing so, though no one really knows where she came from. Her background is quite mysterious. Part of her appeal as a pop star.
Yep.
He migrated around the same time Aslan founded. So his actual connection to the company is most likely non-existent.
Okay, so more he came from Central America, which just happened to be the lands that Aslan became.
At the time it became Aslan. And he has a political viewpoint that opposes theirs. So publicly, he is the one, the agent who is against abuse and treating their clients like crap.
Yeah.
And he has a reputation for being the agent you want to have on hand. So in the music scene, he's the agent most people in Seattle want to book with. Though as he had Maria as his top of the charts, it's no wonder everyone wanted to book with him.
Okay.
And now she's separating from him.
Actually, apparently she's separated from him because of philosophical differences about the use of BTLs.
Do you ask her about that further? Because she had told you some of it at the time. She had found files after a system crash in his system saying that he had been behind distributing and using of BTLs.
Yeah.
Which, like everything in Shadowrun, is not guaranteed to be completely on the nose.
Right, but also, obviously, yes, it was enough justification for her to get out. Whether or not she was fed false information is somewhat irrelevant to our situation of coming through, unless, of course, it turned out that it was all part of Max's cunning plan to feed her false information so that she'd come running to him instead. But I'm sure something convoluted like that would never happen in Shadowrun, so we can ignore that theory.
Well, I was just, letting the players have the idea of that they get to make their own choices instead of just being thrown in the poo at the end and going, I never saw that coming. Unlike Jeremy and Martin, I don't know if David's had a lot of Shadowrun experience in the background.
Nope.
So,
okay. All you know, David, is everything always goes completely smoothly and above board according to the directions we're provided.
Well,
Just
I know how I know how Martin's campaigns work, and I know how us as a party works.
So, with that in mind, David, imagine that the Shadowruns you hear about are, as Jeremy's described, but the ones that you actually play in make mine look like they're nice.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I treat every setting and world exactly the same. I play a character that doesn't give a shit about the overarching story, and just cruises around and has a little bit of fun, causes a bit of chaos, smashes some people, and helps out when he can.
Okay, so you for this sort of run, you need to decide who it is you're actually working for and what you want to achieve out of it to actually complete the run.
And like every other party, I will immediately look to Jeremy's character.
and obviously hate anything that he encourages.
Oh yeah, no. I look at whatever Jeremy's character wants to do, except that that's probably what we're going to do, but then the character that I play immediately disagrees. Because, as is a rule, Jeremy's character is usually a dick.
So, Mr. Max Foley...
It doesn't stop him being right.
That's true.
Mr. Max Foley is suggesting you should go and collect Maria's money while you can, because if you leave it too long, he's sure Hernandez will run out of town and walk up with it.
Collecting money? I can do that.
Yeah. It would certainly seem to be appropriate, and at the same time we can potentially find out more about this Hernandez character, and whilst I'm not saying that we would necessarily fall down on his side for anything that occurs, it'd be nice to know the background either way. So.
And in the morning, in the light of day, Max looks a lot slimier than he did the night before in the club amongst all his people. So you have that feeling of hair rising in the back of the neck, all that sort of wonderful feelings of trust and love of this guy. So, what would you like to do?
Now, do we have any contact details or information on Hernandez at this stage?
Do you ask someone? Because you've got two people here who would probably be able to give you lots of information.
Well, and certainly that would be the first point of call will be from Maria and Max on the idea of, yep, okay, well, if we're going to go after, collect your money, what you're owed, Maria, do you happen to have some contact details of how we can at least find this gentleman to recover your lost earnings?
She does look a little puzzled at the mention of lost earnings, but she does say she pulls out her phone and gives you Max's number.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually has a number, so I was going to make sure I give you that number. Well, I'll just say she gives you a number.
Okay. Does she also have an address or anything like that?
She does. She says she always sees Hernando at his office and gives you the address.
Okay.
Max says, "Oh, I've got his secretary. I've got his business number." He says, in case you can't reach him on the other number.
Okay. And that is different to the one that Maria had?
It is different. Maria also seems to be a bit puzzled there. I will give you a... you can try a skill check to see if you notice anything there. Let's see, do you have anything appropriate?
I'm guessing it would probably come up as technically vigilance or something, possibly, which I'm certainly good at. Deception, spotting thereof is, I can't remember what the opposite deception is. But.
So deception, you can have perception. So perception uses, I believe it uses
cunning.
Cunning.
Yeah.
So you have two dice in it.
Yeah, so that would be 2 dice with no skill.
Okay, so apparently just Maria seems to be a bit surprised at the business number, but doesn't say anything.
Okay, yep. The Desmond, well, at this stage, obviously they're both there right now, so he'll keep the conversation going between them. And do either of them have a home address for him?
Maria only knows of his work address because he basically lives out of it, she says.
Right, okay, so he's got it's the work address like a company offices, and he's got a room at there, or is effectively a home office?
It's more of a studio apartment, she says.
Okay. I mentioned the fact that Hernandez was apparently holding earnings from you, but this is what Max told us last night. You seem surprised that you were missing some of your funds?
She didn't know she was missing funds. That's probably just something else that Hernandez has done to her. She looks really sad.
Well, we shall certainly aim to recover those as part of ensuring you have a appropriate new start in your next step of the next stage of your career. And yeah, realistically, that probably mitigates some of Declan's concerns about her possible reaction to the numbers, because obviously she would have a different communication than necessarily his public voice. Doing a quick search on public network for Hernandez.
You come up with the number that Max provided.
Right, yeah, okay. And that's not surprising.
And it's an active node, so you can even send text messages to it.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind for the time being. I don't think we necessarily want to actually contact Hernandez from this location right now, or directly from my number. So where is his studio office location?
Okay. Just getting to that part. Where are we? Not that one, this one. Okay, I'm going to say it is somewhere in Bellevue. Nice little loft over one of the streets of Bellevue.
Yep. So not necessarily that far from where we are right now, but
which is partly why you chose areas like this, because it is fairly central.
Absolutely, yep.
And from what you can see about it, the loft is his home and business.
So shall we designate this as the rendezvous point if things go to shit?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, because the point is also that certainly if we're going to leave this location, then we should at least leave some people behind to actually maintain the bodyguard over Maria.
And you also have a location of the bank, Federated, the Federated bank that his money is stored in. So you can either go to Hernandez's place or break into the bank and deal with the money there.
Yeah.
So you have two ways to get to it.
Alright. I'm happy to stay here, but was there mention of a wizard?
Well, so I'd be thinking that potentially we can leave Womp and
okay. Yeah.
Bolt and
Flogger
here as the
security.
The security force.
Well, the smart ones go off and do the investigation.
Hopefully without necessarily bringing further trouble down upon a situation.
Yes, let us leave the idiots behind.
And you hear Max go, "Am I right?"
Carbine intensify.
I figure that we've probably got the two ways of going here for going towards Hernandez and or the money. We can either go and try and see him in person, or we can try and hit the Federated borrowing account over the network. I am thinking that given the group that we are at the moment, we're probably better off trying to see him in person at his home office, and potentially we can contact Mr. Burns and say, "Hey, look, have you got a chance to see if you can have a look at this account and see if you can what you can find out about it without getting into too much trouble?"
Is Mr. Burns
No, Mr. Burns is our gang's local tech support. Basically a hacker that we've potentially got available when we need to.
Oh, so it's not this guy called SoCal.
That is that person. And so imagine SoCal as the friend of the gang who lives out of his mother's basement.
Not necessarily in Seattle.
He's probably in Seattle still.
Okay.
I would think. I'm assuming that certainly we have met him in person on occasions, even if that's going to his place to actually drop off gear to be repaired or fixed or something. So, and occasionally he has to leave the basement. So, so I certainly. So yes, I'm assuming that he lives probably somewhere in Redmond, and relatively near to where the gang was based, but he doesn't necessarily hang out at the gang's location very often.
Well, it's a bit hard considering the gang's location got burnt down recently.
Well, this is true, but I'd say even before then, in that idea. So, but as I say, he certainly prefers to be known as Mr. Burns, despite the fact that he's only about 21, 22.
So Desrin gets a message from Mr. Burns.
Okay.
It's got a really unflattering picture of Desrin on it.
Mm-hmm.
With a reward saying 10,000 new yen for information on the whereabouts of Maria Mercurial, Max Foley, or your character without a name, Flogger without a name, or Womp without a name. Georgie's not listed on there.
Mm-hmm. And neither
is Bolt.
Neither is Bolt or Lakash.
Apparently, you don't remember those ones actually being seen by the guards by the runners because you managed to take them down so quickly.
Okay,
yep.
No worries.
Okay. But yes, potentially they're also the ones that saw us at where I saw them at the runners hangout previously. So, and you were actually involved.
And he does have the number to contact.
Mm.
Matches Hernandez's business line.
The one that Max gave us?
Yep, the one Max gave you.
Right. So, okay, well, I will send SoCal a message thanking him for the info and saying, have you got time for a chat? Probably I can work for you.
So a chat window pops up. He's always ready for a chat whenever you need him. Though he is multitasking at the moment, he's currently playing his online game.
Well, hopefully I won't interrupt you too much, but there's certainly some new yen potential available here. First of all, I guess, have you seen any particular word or information come out about that bounty you just sent us info on?
It's about that shindig you did down at Underworld 93. Once you smoked out there, it's been on the bulletin boards for the last probably say about 6 hours.
Right. So in which case then you know that that we're also so.
I was waiting until one of you had turned your phone back on so I could ping you to make sure you're still okay. But everyone else seems to be dark.
Well, a lot of them felt that it was important to try and remove any chance of being followed by that system. Some of them used less than subtle techniques for disabling their phone.
Well, they could have just contacted me and I could have kept the spooks off you.
Yeah, well, as I say. And I knew that, which is why I just decided to shut my phone down until we had a chance to contact. And, yeah. But, so Rakash's numbers should also come back online in the near future. If you're able to make certain that we're not got any trace on those two, that would be great. So,
well, I'll do my usual spoofing for you. That's why you've never had to pay a carrier bill yet.
Hey, it's all appreciated.
No worries.
Well, you pay me, I make it so you can call. Or everyone's happy.
And speaking of paying, what do you know about this, was it Federated Boeing or something?
Oh, yeah, that place is one of those bank places. You go there and they wash money for you, so you don't have to deal with their big corporations. So think of it as a mini-me instead of the big overboss.
Yeah, fair enough. If I gave you some account details in there, do you reckon you could use that to recover funds that might be locked away in those accounts?
I'm sure. You want the funds, or do you want them washed somewhere else?
Well, if we can get the funds out and make it appear that they went somewhere else, that would be great. But we've got a client who officially owns that money, but the person who owns the bank account has not been willing to give it up. So
it's okay. I know a few annoying teenagers that keep hassling me online, so they can have some swap fun.
Well, as I said, like if you can grab anything out of that, then, as I say, 20% of whatever you can take is yours.
That sounds fun.
So, but another thing while you're looking at it, I don't suppose you've got any eyes or capability to get eyes on this address, do you? And you'll send the address for Hernandez's studio apartments or things like that.
Okay, you hear a bit of a clacking in the background, which is quite amusing considering he only really uses his keyboard when he's deciding to go old school.
And obviously also the keyboard is a soft touch scheme. The clapping is actually added sound later.
Well, it also helps people know he's doing something in the background. He might not actually be typing.
He plays the recording of keyboard clacking to make people think he's doing something.
Yeah, it's a complete recording of a mechanical keyboard.
Okay, so you have a image pop up of what appears to be a emaciated elf staring into a screen. He's got really bad pimples. His hair is sticking out in various places, and he looks like he's just woken up from an awful hangover.
And can tell averages.
And you see what appears to be details of money withdrawn, and not the account details, just timestamp. And he steps away, and you see what appears to be Hernandez's loft in the background. You think you're looking out of a cash dispenser?
Right. So, and so, did we know that Hernandez was an elf? Did we have that information either or?
You know he is not an elf. He looks like the probably say fairly muscly looking tall, dark hair, dark eyes. No porn star mustache, unlike Max Foley.
Okay. But yeah, so in that case then definitely I will take a copy of that image to then show to Maria and Max as to if they recognise that person, since it's obviously not who we thought of as Hernandez. So.
Well, you believe you're looking at it from across the street. So your hacker jacked into the teller machine across the street from the place to show you footage of it. Just that he just happened to do it while someone was using it.
Right. Okay. So the person we saw was actually just a random person getting money out at that moment in time.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Now I understand.
It's you. Yes.
So.
And as you're watching the camera, the transaction just keeps flashing for a few minutes. You think he has been card swiped by the person using the camera at the moment?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Mr. Burns is getting a little bit extra on the side at that moment in time. So, but yeah, okay. So we're looking through the camera. We're basically seeing presumably just like a front door of an apartment or something, are we?
You're seeing what appears to be a main street of shops, and you see that there is a glass door to a set of stairs leading up to the loft with Hernandez's talent agency on the side.
Oh God!
And it is, and his studio apartment is above the shopping district.
Okay.
I've seen enough casting couch to know where this is going.
I don't suppose, Mr. Burns, you could come up with a bit of a map layout of that interior of that building, would you?
He says, sure, just give me some time. How quickly do you need it?
Oh, well, okay. The sooner the better, but understandable if it takes some time. So, are we talking a few minutes? We're talking a few hours?
A few minutes he can get you what a standard one looks like. A couple of hours he might be able to get you the exact floor plan of the room, including any sort of sensors and gear that has been installed in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, if you can come up with that in a few hours, we can afford to wait a few hours, I think. So
he says, sure.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Does he prioritize this or the federated bank account?
This one's the high priority at the moment. As I say, the bank account will be a bonus if it happens.
Sure, and he says if you happen to get to Hernandez's computer itself, we can piggyback into the bank account without tripping any alarms.
I will take a jack with me and when we go in. So.
Yeah, he'll have one left at the usual place, he says.
Marvellous. Okay then. So I'll let the other guys know what Mr. Burns just passed on, including the fact that seemingly Rakesh and Georgie are not currently known on the street with a 10,000 credit reward on them.
And the description of you could be any elf.
But it did have a picture as well, didn't it?
It did have a picture, but the thing is, you know it's you. It just doesn't have a name attached to it.
Right, okay, right, yes. Sorry.
You could just change your hairstyle and it won't look the same. Put a beanie on, it won't look the same.
I was about to say, hang on, you mean removed by startlingly white mohawk?
Yes, just make those slight changes and no one will know it's you.
Yeah, but maybe I wouldn't know it's me.
God damn it.
Yeah. Because I was going to say the fact that, well, yeah, perhaps I can drive you guys to the site, but maybe it's not. I might be the one that should go in and see Hernandez but I guess I could put a beanie on.
Or just your helmet.
Well, that can be a bit unusual to wander around the into the building and things like that.
Mohawk?
Sorry?
Wouldn't that swish your mohawk? Having a helmet on.
I'm sure when he's got enough gel, it just pops back up again.
Okay.
I can tell you from experience, it absolutely does not, and it's a pain in the ass.
Okay. What would Declan need a helmet for?
It's just that so Ace driver who's never going to go over.
Exactly, that's right. Except maybe when he tries to fly from one building to another. But it's not like he had time to put the helmet on for that one either.
Hey, the bike made the building.
Exactly. So, and hey, flesh wounds heal much easier than mechanics. Yeah, okay, so Declan's willing to put on disguise for the purposes of this, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, now technically we got here in Max Foley's band, didn't we?
I know you had got a Uber with a fan of Maria's.
Oh, that's right, yes. Yes, that Georgie sorted out afterwards, didn't he?
You did. And apparently Max is watching a TV show with Flogger, and you can hear the noise of Max commenting on something and going, "Am I right?" as he nudges him.
Georgie is considering carrying a knife.
Well, Declan will put a call out to actually get hold of a van that we can actually drive, like basically rent a van for a week or so, while we're waiting for a couple hours for Mr. Burns to come back with information. He'll be aiming to get hold of a van and go and collect it, so that we've got some wheels for the next week.
So you're happy to go on four wheels?
Well, recognising that you guys apparently can't go on any wheels, or don't have wheels, so...
Well, considering he left his bike elsewhere, he does need to get some sort of wheels.
Right.
Okay.
Having an idea of the sort of cost of that, have we got one of the cred sticks with an appropriate sort of value on it, or can we transfer to a cred stick and shuffle things around a bit to get the appropriate cost on there?
Most of them will cater to a bit of shuffling around, and you can get yourself a van for, I'd probably say, about 100 credits a day.
Cool, happy with that. So, I'm figuring there's probably not something that he necessarily needs to use. He's now new black market contacts to help him too. But
so you get a white delivery van with no markings on it. Doesn't even have rent a van on the side of it. Shows up about half an hour after you order it.
Wow.
Okay, I was happy to go for a bit of walk and collect it, but hey.
Well, I didn't say it shows up at the house. It shows up wherever you ordered it to.
And that's okay. So I will arrange to collect it some distance from the house and then get back.
But as your delivery address was in Bellevue, they had no reason to suspect anything wrong with delivering to any address in that area.
Yep.
It's all on the grid.
While I'm gone, I'll suggest that the others might want to be, doing what they can to prepare for meeting Hernandez, possibly talking to, try and talk to Maria while Hernandez might be busy watching the TV. While Max might be busy watching TV, to see any other information that may not necessarily have come out yet about Hernandez in that sort of sense. But
So is that Desrin going to do that, or is one of the others going to do that?
well, Desmond's going off to organise the vehicle and go and collect it and things like that. He suggested the others might take the opportunity to try and talk to one of the others, to Maria while he's gone.
And what should I be asking?
So, just the idea is that any more information or details about Hernandez that she remembers, or like obviously last night, a pretty stressful situation. There might be more information coming out now as to why he might have been involved in PTLs.
Now that she's had a sleep, she might recall.
Okay, so does this mean we're having Rakesh go in and talk to her?
Well, it does.
Georgie will go with Rakesh.
Okay, so the two of you are going in there and talking to her. She seems quite sad.
Any particular reason?
Georgie shoves Rakesh towards her. Go on,
You talk to her. You talk to her.
Yeah, no, you talk to her. I'm useless for this sort of thing. You go on. I'm literally like less than a year old, mate.
And she sung most of your favourite songs.
Exactly, I can't talk to her. Go on.
Because you'll cop sledgehammer.
Oh, well, you'll cop sledgehammer if you don't talk to her. Go on then.
She sighs and looks up and says, "What do you want to talk to me about?"
Just want you to be less sad, though.
About Hernandez.
Roshi, I'm surprised that he's into BTLs. I wouldn't have thought he'd be into it.
I think wherever the money is.
Especially considering where he found me, she says. He got me off those freaky things.
You got to understand, love, once you're on them, you're on them.
What kind of personality has he changed in his personality?
He's always been supportive and helped my career. He's never once acted inappropriately, unlike Max, she says, with a shutter.
Okay.
But I guess it's best that I don't mix business with personal.
Probably a good idea, love.
That is interesting. So is there any specific reason that you want to get out of Hernandez's contract?
Well, if he's dealing in brain fries, wouldn't you want to get away from him when you almost got fried?
That's a very good reason.
Well, I mean, we can always kill him for you.
She looks very shocked and says, "No, she with a bit of stuttering, she says, I still don't think he deserves death. He did save her."
What? So you were in your life all of a sudden?
No, I just don't want to take his.
That's all right. You're gonna have to take anything.
So what are you suggesting we do then?
Oh, I can kill him. You don't have to kill him.
I just don't like what he does. If you can stop him dealing in BTLs, maybe that would be better.
I can do that.
So what else would you like to know? She says, looking at Georgie directly.
What are you looking at me for? I don't even care about this stuff. I just want to not die.
Well, I don't want to die either.
Is Desrin in sight?
Desrin's gone out to get the van, so she looks over at Rakesh and goes, "So, as Mr. Newborn over here is still tongue-tied, what about you? What is it you want?"
I just want to keep you alive for the next 5 days, or 4 days now. So, any information you can give us that might help with protecting you is going to be handy.
No, I didn't know that Hernandez had a office number. He's never used another number as far as she knows.
So
We managed to get it pretty
he's got
easily.
2 phones. I mean, typically most sort of drug dealers do have multiple phones. It's a fairly common thing.
But everyone she knew contacted him on the same number she did.
That's a bit weird. Maybe he gave you his burner number. Maybe he wasn't really that fond of you to begin with.
She burst into tears.
You see, now this is why I don't talk to people. Oh, Georgie, help us out. Georgie, talk to her. Yeah, that's what happens, mate. I'm gonna go clean something or fix a gun. You gotta do something useful.
So she goes to Rakesh. So it was all an act. He never liked me in the first place. He was just stealing money from me.
Probably.
Maybe. Where would the proper books be?
She doesn't know Hernandez would have them all on his computer.
Yeah, well, okay. So, if we get Hernandez's computer, then that would help.
That should prove even find out about all his BTL crap. She says.
Are you sure that he's dealing in BTLs?
It was on his computer. What else am I supposed to think? I'm not a hacker. I don't know computer stuff, but I know BTLs.
Okay. How about we be a little bit circumspect and get his computer and then see the BTL evidence?
I'm sure that will prove without a doubt. Go, Georgie.
No, you're all good. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Oh, venerable voice from the sky.
Well, if you want, I can leave a voice message on your phone of my next song that I've been working on.
Holy shit! What you want? I'll do it for free.
She was just offering to do that. Just give her your number and she'll leave it while you're out.
Here you go, love.
You realise that you broke your phone.
Shit. It's alright, I can get a new phone. I just got to get the number.
You'll
send it, I'll get it.
You'll have to get in touch with SoCal to redirect the numbers.
Okay. Just send it to Mohawky McElfface.
How is Georgie having an English accent?
Because he's been watching Peaky Blinders.
See, I'm a clone, and I was watching Peaky Blinders a lot, but also we were given language training, and all the language training was actually in with an English accent. It's part of our clone program. I don't really like it, but it's how I talk. Why do you have an accent? You tit.
I guess I probably should.
That's right. So don't point out an accent. It's rude and potentially racist, or also funniest. I don't know what the discriminatory word for it is.
And then you hear in the background, "I'll buy that for $1." And you hear Max go, "Am I right?"
What?
They're watching TV in the other room.
You're right,
Apparently, very poor TV too.
Hi. There's nothing wrong with RoboCop. Except the second, the reboot of it.
Well, there are multiple movies, yes. I'm sure we'll have Child of RoboCop anytime now.
Robo Junior.
So yes, by the time you get back with the van, you get a ping from SoCal with the basic layout of the standard place while he's tracking down the details.
Okay.
Yep, he says he'll fill it in as he finds out.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing I was going to do, I think it was maybe half an hour, something like that, for getting the van bits and pieces. When Declan gets back, and obviously as part of that process he'll also pick up the data jack from the drop point.
And the motorcycle?
How big's the van?
Big enough.
Yeah, he'll go big motorcycle as well then.
I'm assuming that's where the drop point was, wherever your motorcycle was.
Sounds good.
I
Yep.
guess there's only 3 of us.
That's right. So the van you can have the bike as well as you two in the van. It's all good. And then basically the intent for me was that he'd then spend the rest of the time while waiting for the details from SoCal about Hernandez's place on just rigging up any cameras or bits and pieces that means that the guys who are staying behind can watch more easily, and alarm systems and things like that sort of stuff.
Okay, with the data jack, there was a couple of workers' uniforms for one of the local You Broke It, We'll Patch It software companies, with some badges.
All good. So, did he also put some decals to put on the van?
He did.
Oh, he did. Okay, even better. SoCal, it's almost like he's clever enough to think ahead on what things might be needed.
Well, considering what he was looking into.
So, and then so I'm assuming that by mid-late morning, we can be heading down towards Hernandez's place.
Yep. So you have the choices of Hernandez's or Federated Boeing. Not Federated Boeing, Federated Systems, because you can either go for the money or the person. That's why I keep bringing up the other one, so you know the different options. Grab a drink while you decide which one is more important.
All good. Certainly from Declan's perspective, the intent was to go for the person. We'll leave Mr. Burns to go for the accounts. So, is that happy with you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
While Declan's working on setting up a few systems around the building or whatever bits and pieces, like mechanical traps or alarms or whatever bits and pieces, he'll encourage at least one or both of you to come and help him with the stuff. if only get Georgie out of the house, away from Max type stuff. And just check whether or not you found anything more out from Maria.
Yeah, she's a bit of a sook.
Well, she's been through some difficult situations right now.
So hi, I'm literally a year old and I've got to deal with all this adult stuff.
Yes. And you're dealing with it in a most mature way. It's good to see.
I'm also not an idiot. Shut up.
I do apologise. I take it back.
You bloody well should.
James would privately thinking the maturity part.
Georgie also secretly thinking the sledgehammer part.
Yes, so I'm thinking that we'll go and see if we can have a quiet word with Mr. Hernandez and find out why it is that he's sending goons out after the Maria, who has willingly and freely moved over to work for Max, and also ask him about getting his money back, getting her money back, and then if he's not particularly helpful, then we can set Mr. Burns on actually hitting Federated Systems. So.
Okay, so while you're driving,
yep.
Mr. Burns gets back some information for you. You find out that there's only one line going into the studio apartment.
All right.
It's not the office number.
Right.
The matrix address of the office number is located in another part of the city.
Curious.
And Mr. Burns is rather suspicious of it because it's looks like it's got more ice on it than it deserves.
Right.
Interesting.
But you're saying the office number, not the number leading to the landline at his house?
The line coming into the house is his personal line.
Yep, and that's
the only line coming into that. It's the only line going into the house. There are no other nodes in there.
Yep.
The other line leads to another part of the city. He started tracing it and caught some ice and dropped it before they could catch him.
Fair enough.
And basically someone to be monitoring the line on a snoop. He doesn't want to know who's behind that.
All good. Stay clear for the time being. Thanks very much.
Yeah, he doesn't have the tools to defend against that sort of net aggression.
No, that's all good. That's certainly fine. I don't suppose that you can just be on the line into the one landline into his home that we're headed towards at the moment, just to see whether or not there's any people at home, any sort of welcoming committee that we might meet while we're there.
Well, he's sniffed the node, and as far as you can tell, this guy is not particularly tech savvy. He hasn't patched his stuff in a while. He managed to slip in a appointment for you to upgrade his hardware, so the software on his hardware.
Yep.
So he'll be expecting you in about an hour.
Okay. So maybe worth arriving.
I'm just going to restart my phone, Martin.
All good.
Back in a sec.
So you should not have any trouble getting in to see him. He will let you in not knowing who you are. Unless, of course, he's the one who put out the hit on you.
I've got a cunning disguise on, and apparently the others won't see. No, not a motorcycle helmet. I mean, so it's not even a beanie. He's got a technician's workman's cap. You'll never see through it. And sunnies.
Okay.
So
you managed to find a park in the back of the in one of the back alleys, not far from the studio apartment.
Yep. Okay. We'll grab some of the appropriate toolbox and bits pieces. And
Do you want to take guns?
well, I was going to say, Desmond's certainly carrying his pistols. So,
Right. No worries.
It's Shadowrun America. The right to carry is, I'm sure, embedded in the right not to get shot.
Okay.
and technically the sledgehammer is just a tool. Whether it's the standard tool of a computer technician might be a bit more dubious.
I'm sure it's for the computers that have been retired, so no one can ever get the data off them.
That's right. Yeah. But the intent will be to not make it obvious that we're necessarily carrying things that are inappropriate for technicians, except possibly a sledgehammer that, again, won't necessarily be carried openly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have no problems getting to the door. It does have a buzzer. You can choose to sneak in if you wish using skullduggery or pushing the button and using your invite.
So we've actually got to his front door, have we?
Quite easily. There is no there's a fire escape at the back, but you'd think it would set off alarms if you were to pull it down.
No, it was more the idea, like when you said we got to his buzzer type stuff. It wasn't like, oh yeah, the lobby of a big building and we're pushing one button out of 100 type stuff. So
no, it's basically his store is on the street, and it's a flight of stairs that goes up over the streets on the shopping district.
So, okay then. I will have a bit of a look at the lock on the door and to see if I reckon I can just pick my way past it fairly easily or not.
Okay, skullduggery for you is probably going to be quite an easy check.
But, well, so I've only got 2 dice, but one of them is upgraded. One of them's a D12, so it's a case of have a think about. If I reckon I can do it without too much problem, then I will attempt that and then explain that, oh yeah, boss, it didn't seem to be working, but hey, your system's obviously flawed because it let us in.
Now, with the 3 of you there, you could probably get help from Rakesh.
Oh, you mean like if he could do the boost?
Rakesh can literally give you tips as you do so, which increases your dice pool by 2.
If that's simple enough, then obviously I will be happy to accept help.
So basically you can join your skill with someone else's attribute if you work together.
Okay, yeah.
That's basically how that rule works. Or you can have someone help you, giving you a blue dice on top of it, if they can't actually help you normally.
I'm happy to use his cunning and my knowledge. And
okay, so it almost defeated you. Luckily, you had a yellow dice in the mix because the 3 green dice were counted out by the 2 purple dice. As you got a success and an advantage, and it popped open without a sound.
Marvellous. So,
you even managed to bypass the warning for door open sound.
Even better. There we go. I will push it open a little bit and just see if we can hear anything on the other side or in the house.
You can hear snoring.
Okay. I'm thinking if we'll walk in and we've got the element of surprise upon him to actually have any discussions, throw him off canter. People agreed and work with that?
Sounds good.
So you're going to sneak up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be a stealth roll.
I don't know if you know, but Georgie is very sneaky.
Well, Declan certainly is, because he's got 5 dice and one of them's upgraded.
Okay, so
Georgie falls over into a stand of drum cymbals.
What's the attribute?
Agility.
Not good.
and Desrin can actually lead you all through it, going step there,
Okay.
with his. I believe he managed to get 2 net successes and at least 1 advantage, 2 advantages.
So, okay, the most important part will be the idea of, close the door quietly behind us, and then, as I say, we'll be aiming to come in as close as we can around wherever he's sleeping, and
Concrete stairs help. Don't make much noise. Don't move much.
nice.
And do make a hell of a slap noise when your face lands on it.
They do.
And a lovely splunk, 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 splunk as the body falls down the stairs.
That is true.
Exactly.
So,
And you find your way up into the loft rather easily. The door itself at the top of the stairs is not locked. It's
Okay.
slightly ajar, which you can hear the snoring coming from.
okay, well, we will aim to, again, step into that door and, again, close it quietly behind us.
You see on the couch Mr. Hernandez asleep with an empty tequila bottle next to him. He looks like he is in very bad shape at the moment.
So, okay, we'll take the opportunity to be standing around him. Happy for Georgie to have his sledgehammer just occasionally sitting on his shoulder. And
Georgie very politely and lightly nudges the hungover man and says, "Good morning, sunshine."
What? Who are you, robbers? What are you doing here? Oh, well, there's not much here, but take what you want. It doesn't matter anymore, he says.
Georgie places his sledgehammer on the guy's chest. I would suggest that you keep rather quiet, listen to what you're asked, and do what you're told.
By the look of his eyes, you can tell he's probably been on about a 3 or 4 day bender.
Let me introduce you to my good friend, Desrin. Desrin, take the floor, my friend.
I want to know what happened.
Just out of curiosity, Martin, looking around, he mentioned the fact there's not much here.
Yeah.
What is in this place? Like, he's got a single room office?
It is what appears to be a office with a room off to the side, which is his sleeping quarters, with another one next to it, which Maria's been sleeping out of.
Okay.
Quality
of the furniture and or equipment or things like that?
A little better than what you had in your slum, but not much more. It looks like he hasn't spent a lot of money on accommodation or gear because, well, he does travel, as does Maria most of the time.
Right. But he's certainly not living the high life off of the earnings of a Nova Star singer.
He doesn't look as if he's got much in him at all, and you're actually probably got more money than he has now.
Right. Okay, well, greetings, friend. We're not actually here to rob you, just here to talk.
What do you want to talk about?
What the BTL background story is.
Is it what BTLs he says? I don't deal BTLs. I don't sell them. I don't have anyone near me who works on BTLs because Maria was addicted to it.
So that's my confusion. That Maria is saying that the reason she left your arrangement was that you were a BTL user and a BTL pusher.
A BTL dealer.
He seems to get angry at that and spluttering, pushing against the sledgehammer on his chest. He'd never deal with that trash or stuff. It took him over a year to get Maria off it. There's no way he was going to let anyone of that scum near her again.
Georgie pulls the sledgehammer off his chest.
And certainly, Martin, not that we're necessarily the most wondrous readers of personality, but we've got no reason to suspect that he's currently lying. The fact that he got caught by surprise, but he's certainly seemingly all genuine statements, from what we understand.
And you also imagine that he has been on a bender for a couple of days by the look of him, which means he couldn't have put out the hit on you.
That's what I was about to ask about myself, in the sense that this. So, well, I'm going to say, this is certainly different news to what Maria told us. So,
do you think maybe Maria's playing us?
She asked for our assistance to get us away from you.
Well, someone broke into his system crashed about a week ago. Someone probably broke into it. Maria was getting it back online for him because he's not so good with computers.
Yeah, and she mentioned that.
And that's the last he saw of her.
The evidence that you were a dealer at that point.
Yeah. How would I deal BTLs? He barely understands how they work.
Fair.
What about the earnings that apparently you're withholding from her since she transferred over to alternate management?
What earnings? She pays him his cut. She gets the money in her account directly.
I think she's been playing us, boy.
Or someone connected with her. Well, what do you know of last night? There was a big
Says what day is it?
break-in at Underground 93.
Surely the guy who will benefit most is the guy that she's switching to.
It's I don't even know what day it is, so I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. He says.
Okay.
No, that was in response to my question about the attack on Underground 93 last night, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that is correct.
Wow. Do you mind if we have a look at your system?
I haven't touched it since Maria walked out. Haven't had the heart.
So Declan will certainly go over to his computer system.
Yep.
And
it's old enough that you have no problems using it.
Okay. And he'll plug in the jack that Mr. Burns provided, and give him contact him as well, and just say, hey, look, we're in the city, the location, and
so start the transfer. He says.
Hold off on that momentarily.
Well, I've got the file right here. It's just easy. You have to push the button. Very simple security here.
Yeah, that's the Federated Systems, you saying?
Yeah, he does all his banking through his computer. Even got his password saved there.
So, hang on, just confirming. So, is Mr. Burns is saying he's done this prior to me connecting up his computer at his loft?
No, he's saying he can do it as soon as you say so, because
now we've got the inside access.
Yeah.
So, before you try and do any transfer like that, is there any evidence on the system for the owner of the system's involved in BTL dealing or abuse?
Give me a moment. You hear the sound of the mechanical keyboard in the background.
It's better than elevator music.
And then he starts bringing up things on the screen of the BTLs and going in further, showing that they were installed in the middle of a hack on the system. Though the timestamp says that they were there beforehand, he says that they've all been modded.
Any indication as to where these systems might have got loaded on, where these files might have got loaded from?
He is unsure he really wants to go down that alleyway. It might lead back to the place he tried to access earlier.
I think you need to be quite open with us in order for us to help you.
No, this is
SoCal.
This is our friend Mr. Burns, SoCal, hacking the Hernandez's system. Now that Hernandez gave us access to his system, and SoCal's saying that he's found the evidence of the BTL stuff that Maria found on his system, but that seems to have come from a hack that occurred. Even though there was, they tried to make it look like it had been there longer, but he's saying that it had only just been put there.
He says there's also a tracer on there that he unfortunately tripped up looking at it. That has sent a message out onto the matrix. So you might not have a lot of time if someone was monitoring the situation, he says.
Mm-hmm. So he's got no idea, but he's confident that where the evidence came from leads back or potentially follows down the path towards Hernandez's office number that we got from Max Foley.
That's basically what he was hinting at, that it seems to be pointing to the office number.
Yep. Okay. And he's got no idea where the traces head to though.
That's where he said it was go. That's where he thought it was going as well, to the office.
Oh, okay, it's going to the same place. Right.
He can't be certain, but he doesn't want to follow too closely.
Okay. The Declan will immediately shut down the system at this end and tell the others, hey, we've got to move. Pointing towards Hernandez.
He does also, before you shut it down, give up a payment from Maria from her career to Hernandez, and showing that the amount in his account represents his cut of her and remaining money after the last year or so of contract.
Okay, so suggesting that he's got the appropriate money, he hasn't been withholding anything.
He should have about 10 times this amount, but he's donated a lot of his stuff to various charities.
Right. Okay.
Generally, anti as technology support groups.
Okay.
I don't know. Are we taking the idiot or what?
I'd say we don't want to leave him here because he'll get killed.
Righto, idiot. Let's go.
Okay.
Now, where do you want to take me? He says, shaking off a lot of the booze.
We're going to take you to have
You
a
seem
talk
to be under the impression that we're actually going to give you an option now. Shut up, get up, and follow.
Okay.
Well, if I'm going to go somewhere, I should get my gear, he says.
So, what kind of gear you wanted to collect? You got about 2 minutes, because seemingly someone was watching your computer.
As well, maybe you can bring that too and make sure no one else can, so we can prove what people have done.
Yep,
No,
okay.
hurry up, get your gear, I'm following you. Don't do anything stupid.
Yep. And while he's doing that, I will grab the computer gear in bits and pieces. And, yeah.
And I think Maria will trust our word.
Okay, he points Georgie to a weapon stand in his room while he starts changing into more comfortable clothes.
Now,
Georgie takes literally everything.
did Maria have a phone at all?
Maria did not have a phone on her because, well, she being the superstar she is, gets contacted through her agents.
Yep, no, that's fine, that's all right then.
Otherwise,
Which
people
means
would hack
there
it on a regular basis.
which means there was no specific contact no specific phones or anything like that left back at the hideout, was there? Except
No.
probably Max's stuff. Is that right?
That is right. That the readout she's shown you was actually on her arm, because she does actually have cyber limbs.
Yes. So, but we've got no way of we've got no way of contacting that connection at all, have we, that we know of? So, but basically, all trying to work out, all trying to remember whether or not we've left any way of contacting the others back at the thing other than through Max. And I think
No,
the answer
Max
no.
is
that
Max
correct?
is the only one who's got an actual phone, and then you get a video come through your phone. Apparently, there are some Yakuza outside watching the place
outside
where you are now.
Hernandez place.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, hang on, was that it's that stuff that we picked up from the alarms or whatever bits and pieces that I rigged up before we left at the hideout. So, and they're at the front of the place,
Do
are
you
they?
share that info?
Yeah, as I say, I'll and that's at the front of the place.
They seem to be staking the place out.
Yeah, but you mentioned that there was a backfire escape type stuff, but they don't appear to be covering that possibly.
No, and your van's not far from the fire escape.
Yep. Okay. As soon as we get that, I will tell Rakesh to finish grabbing the bits of computer and stuff like that I was collecting.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go over to the. Well, don't actually no. We'll go together. We'll grab those bits and pieces, head over towards the fire escape, and while the Hernandez is getting ready, and have a quick work on disabling any fire alarm activation when we try and go through the fire escape.
Okay.
What about, you guys get this dickhead out. I've got his weapons. I'll create a distraction.
Okay.
Plan B. We'll try and get out without being seen at all, first of all. That way they'll keep waiting here. If we can leave and they never know that we're gone, they'll be waiting a long time.
So you've grabbed a pair of pistols, a couple of heavy assault rifles, and a combat shotgun.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, I'm going to create such a good distraction. Ammunition for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goody gumdrops.
Okay.
And a pair of vicious-looking combat knives.
So why
Oh, good.
does Hernandez have all this stuff?
Because he lives in Seattle.
And he grew up in the Aslan territories.
I mean, Martin, what you're asking is, why does an American have so many guns and knives?
Yeah, good point.
In his bedroom, mind you.
It's personal defense, God.
And no
I
grenades.
need this rocket launcher for personal defense.
He was coming right for me.
I only shot him 253 times.
Oh, case closed. Innocent. 254 is we draw the line.
Well, that'd be obviously excessive.
Oh, he only found 200 shells. You're fine.
Yeah, he only had to reload 7 times.
No, I've got the extended, ultra ridiculous extra additional space clip.
Yeah, okay, so between Rakesh and Desmond, do we have any trouble disabling the fire alarm for the fire escape?
Not at all, considering Hernandez tells you just to rip out the cord.
I'm surprised there was one to begin with.
Oh, he had modified it, so all you had to do was rip out the cord.
Oh, that's
Because he wanted to be able to escape without setting off the alarm if necessary.
He says he used to work with the special forces of his country before he left.
nice.
Yeah.
Georgie plays rear guard with assault rifle in hands.
Yeah. I was
Assault
actually
rifles.
when you were describing all the weapons that he had, I was thinking, oh well, they're probably for one of Maria's personas, but apparently they might be him. So if he's claiming he used to have special forces training.
I still don't trust him with the weapons though.
No, that's all right. That's fair enough. So, so we will aim to if I think has Rakesh got perception?
Good question.
He does not.
Rakesh has got better cunning anyway, so it's probably the thing. But yeah, we'll have a quick
Does
look out the
Georgie have
door.
perception?
Two green dice in perception.
Well, that would be
So
Desmond.
do I have that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you've probably got at least 4 green dice. You might have yellow dice, but
I don't think so. I don't see.
He has no
Anyway,
yellow
okay.
dice.
we will have a glance out the door before we go piling down the staircase, just to make certain that we can't see any obvious Yakuza or otherwise sitting out there, at the back.
So I'll roll the four dice.
Though I will give your good mate with the assistance in that one because he actually has perception.
Nice.
Okay, so apparently not enough perception, as you get 2 failures and a advantage.
Okay.
Well,
So
we are moving quickly.
yeah, obviously the point is there's nothing to see, so that's fine.
Well, if Desmond didn't spot it, there must be nothing there.
Well, apparently no one spotted it. That's just it. So, and yeah, we'll aim to head for the van, and then assuming we get there without apparent tail.
Okay, so as you slide down and get down to the van, the sound of gunfire breaks out around you. So it would be characters get their whole initiative roll going.
A lovely vigilance or cool.
It is vigilance because cool is when you're ready for it.
Yeah. Well, hey, we were kind of expecting something to be here, even if we didn't see it coming.
No, but now that it is coming, it's coming right for us.
Well, the problem at the moment is it's all around us. So,
That's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so what is Desrin's cool? Oh, sorry, vigilance.
vigilance, a whole 1 green die.
Okay, so no result for Desrin.
Hey, it could have been worse. Well, no, not really.
So we have 2 advantages for Rakesh. What does Georgie have?
I have no idea. I've never seen George's character sheet.
Okay, so Georgie for his vigilance has 2 dice. So Georgie got 2 successes.
Hey,
Ah.
Or react. Hey, the person who was ready to actually act as the rear guard assault rifle got to react.
So what I was going to say before, because we're talking this, that Georgie was going to start shooting at a moment's notice at the slightest threat. But that's fine. It seems like he is going to anyway.
So
maybe that's why we keep gunfire all around us from David's perspective. Georgie's already shooting.
and Hernandez got for you a triumph and 3 successes.
Oh, wow. Turns out Hernandez is probably a giant badass.
Well, he did say it's with X-Special Forces. We might
Yeah,
also
slap him around a bit because he's coming off.
Just doing the opposition up as well.
all of the guys.
Martin, if Hernandez goes to grab one of the assault rifles, Georgie is not going to stop him.
Okay, so
That's a lot of trust you've got in here.
We're surrounded by dudes shooting at us. I don't care anymore.
If he wants to join in the shooting and it's going the wrong way, well, it won't be the least of our problems.
As long as the bang bangs go in the correct direction, I'm cool with it.
okay, so the party gets to go first.
In the words of Cyril from Archer, suppressing fire!
Well, because that can be Georgie going first, remember?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who rolls the successes,
What was that?
we can choose.
No, so that was suppressing fire, bang, 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 bang.
Okay, you're not calling for it, you're delivering it.
Okay, so
The joke is that, yeah, sorry.
so Georgie goes into suppressing fire mode.
Yep.
Okay, luckily you have ranged heavy.
Yeah.
As you as you start opening up with the automated weapon on full automatic. Apparently the tracer fire going out of your weapon is lighting up the back street there quite brightly, even in daylight. As you can see that there are 2 goons coming down the pathway with machine guns and swords on their waists.
Oh, I got bad news for these guys.
But you're having trouble keeping the gun pointed at them. It was a little too much to squeeze off at one time for Georgie. He's never let go of that many rounds at one time.
No successes, but advantages. Fantastic. That's okay as long as they're weary of the bullets.
And a triumph, and with your triumph, they both threw themselves to the ground.
And
Okay, so which then goes to one of the Yakuza, and from the other end of the alleyway, you find the area you're standing in peppered by machine gun fire.
that's what you want.
As they're basically doing the same thing to you.
Right. Martin Colgart missed. Red missed.
Okay,
see that on
so
the
they almost got exactly the same result.
Nice.
They got a triumph.
Yeah.
So they miss everyone, but they hit the stairwell you're standing on, shearing it from the wall.
That's fair.
Hey,
Right.
As there's a loud thump as the stairwell falls over.
But where was the thump thump?
And are we still on the stairwell at this point?
You are still on the stairwell. Some of you are sliding down. And basically just meant that you're on the ground instead of sliding to the ground.
Right. Okay.
Well, that saves us the effort of having to go down.
And some of you who are in the bit just above the ladder that slid down now just have to climb out of the basket.
Yeah, I guess that would be me.
Okay, so one of the Yakuza at the street ahead who dived to the ground points his gun at the lot of you and opens up as well. Apparently he gets a triumph for the day. As he gets one net success and a triumph.
Fair enough.
So, he hits our big machine wielding Georgie with a direct hit.
Rude.
Doing 12 damage.
Ouch.
With your circle,
Five, so.
if your circle 5 means that 7 get through,
Oh.
and he critically hits you.
Rude.
So the critically hit of 71 gets upgraded to 78.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily he's not you, otherwise it might have been 88.
Yep.
As he gets to make an immediate attack on you as he's left you open.
Yeah, I'll take that.
He gets to roll again.
Yep.
That sounds painful.
Yep.
So you've already had one critical hit on you with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with his second shot, he gets 2 net successes.
Oh,
Does not get a crit off though.
good.
What a shame.
As he does 11 damage to you, which is 6 get through this time, putting you on 13 out of 17 damage.
Great.
Okay, so it is now a party member's turn. Who wishes to go?
Okay.
I'd like to buff the other 2 members of the party.
Oh, you want to activate? You want to activate your buff spell?
Yes.
Because remember, you can potentially buff yourself at the same time, depending on how you roll.
Well, he wants to do a multi-person buff. See how many people it works out to be.
Yes. So if I get sufficient augmentation, then yes, I will buff myself, but only as the 3rd person.
And then Hernandez is the 4th person.
So that is
Well, yeah.
4 purple dice against your primal, which is 2 yellow and 2 green. Okay, so that looks very promising.
Okay.
Nice.
So you ended up with a success, a triumph, and 2 threat. Would you like to take? So I can actually look at the magic page and say what that 2 threat can do. So we have those things up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have the spell delays around. It doesn't take effect until the start of the next round.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right.
But it
that's
will
fine.
affect both Jason and Georgie then.
It will, and you can actually affect a 3rd person with your triumph if you wish to.
All right. Well, I'll buff Hernandez as well.
Not yourself? Okay.
And I'll put on you 2 strain for that one. For casting the spell.
Yep.
So Georgie has a
That could have been a
buff.
lot worse.
So it got refreshed between sessions. I mentioned it.
Oh yeah, your strain will be at maximum. I'm assuming wounds were 0 at the start of the session as well, weren't they?
Yeah, I've just hand waved that back to 0 for this
we've
because
got enough healers in the party that we can actually recover wounds when we've got an hour or 2 to work with. So.
Right.
and as long as your troll doesn't burn himself out healing people.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Rakesh's turn, and now the other Yakuza on the ground start firing towards the party.
Goody.
He is aiming He's aiming for Desrin.
Have you got a black dice for Desrin's defense? And technically, are we actually all prone? Does that make it harder for them to be shooting at us? Which probably should have been applied for the other one, but...
apparently, the way the dice rolled, it came up as black and black.
Fair enough. Or
So-
blank and blank.
Blank and blank. I'll see if I can actually make it a little clearer
Yeah,
for you.
I can see the dice, that's alright.
What I have to do is tap that button, and that should hopefully make it clearer. And even better, I can go dice. That should be easier for you. Okay, so yes, they get 2 net successes on Desrin, so that means they're doing 12 points of damage your way.
Ouch.
As they're
So 3.
with your soak of 3, that means you take 9 damage. Okay.
God.
So now it is either
Hernandez or Desrin.
yeah.
And the question that I've been keeping wanting to ask was, so how far away is the van?
The van is about one maneuver away, and another
Right.
maneuver to unlock it.
And how many Yakuza are between us and the van?
Well, you can see one further down the street, the way the van's pointing, and 2 coming from the direction the van had pulled into the alley. There may be more coming, depending on the noise you're making.
So are there any between us and the van?
No, you were getting out almost on top of the van.
Right, okay.
You had parked it with that in mind.
Cheese it?
Then, yeah, I'll be suggesting that we be leaving the van as quick as possible. So Desrin will use a maneuver to get to the van.
Yep.
He'll take a couple strain, I think, officially to get another maneuver to unlock it and jump in.
Okay. Unfortunately, you can't jump in with the other maneuver. You only get 2 maneuvers total.
Okay.
Whether you give up your action to do so. If you give up your action to do so, you don't take 2 strain.
Well, so I'm not taking any action. Well, no, so you're saying that I could actually get to the van, unlock it, and still have an action if I take 2 strain. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
I will do that then, and I will then use my action to take a shot at.
Quick Draw pulls out the gun and shoots.
Yep. We'll go for the ones that.
Also,
So you say there was one behind us, one behind the van or the rear of the van, and 2 at the front of the van. Is that right?
There was 1 in front of the van and 2 coming in the way the van came in.
Okay.
So you've got 1 facing one still standing and 2 prone.
Okay. Well, I'll go for the one that's standing then, front, and see if I can shoot him in that shot. So that's 5 dice, one of them yellow.
Okay. He is just outside of close. And apparently it was a very hard shot.
You are useless, Desrin.
As you managed to get 2 advantages. And no
This is why
successes.
nobody loves you, Desrin.
Hey, he's bleeding out at the moment like you are, so...
As bad?
Sorry?
As bad?
Nearly as bad, I suspect.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't get as many wounds as you have.
Oh yeah, I forgot you. Oh yeah, you don't get the buff yet till next round.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hernandez then
So hang on, so it was no successes in the end, but 2 advantages.
two advantages. Yes, you can use one to recover strain and one to give a blue to the next player who acts.
I will do that. I'll give a blue to Hernandez, assuming he counts in that way.
He does count in that way.
Yep. And I will then be on 1 strain instead of 2 strain.
Okay, so
1 strain, 2 strain, red strain, blue strain.
Hernandez moves over to Georgie and helps him up.
Legend.
In doing so, takes one of the
The real way he helped you up was to select a weapon.
Yeah. Yep.
takes one of the.
I was just attached to the rifle, and he picks me up anyway.
And he opens up on one of the guys who's on the ground.
Yes, he opens up about his feelings.
So he got a triumph, 2 net successes, and an advantage. As
anyone can use it before.
As you see a just this splatter where that guy was lying.
Well, at one point there was a guy there.
I don't know when the buffing takes effect.
The buffing now takes effect because it's a new round.
Yep.
Alright.
It said start of the round, it doesn't matter whose go it is.
Old mate's just turned him into pink mist. Fantastic.
So, party member gets to go. Would you like Hernandez to go again?
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Not really.
Don't you want to see that again?
Georgie would like to get into the relative safety of the van, to be honest.
Okay.
Although Hernandez is there to pick him up and drag him to the van. Yeah, let's see Hernandez do a thing.
Okay.
And let's face it, Declan's actually closer. If Hernandez takes out the other one at the back, Declan's the one they're likely to shoot at the front.
These guys haven't adopted the shoot the wizard first. So
Okay, so
I'm fine.
he shoots again. He gets 3 net successes and
Jesus.
3 advantages, so he crit hits the next guy on the ground, taking him out too.
I don't know if you can see it or not, David, but Martin's rolling 4 dice for Hernandez. 3 of them are yellow.
Yeah, righto.
And he then drags Georgie to the back of the van.
Why did we even bother showing up to this fight? We could have just kept walking.
Well, we had to find out he was a good guy.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if he's a good guy so much as a total goddamn badass.
Well, he's a good guy to have on our side.
Yeah, so whatever Hernandez wants, he gets.
Okay, so the Yakuza standing in the street shoots back at Desrin.
Desmond's gonna die.
Like I said, I said that Declan was the target, so...
I mean, oh no, Desmond, look out.
Oh, at least the black dice did something. I don't know what it is.
It put in threats. So what it does is cancel out the 2 advantages he got, giving him a net threat, as well as he got he only succeeded in hitting you, so he hits you for 10 points, which means 7 get through.
Puts me down.
Exactly where you should be.
So unfortunately, that means a critical injury occurs. With luckily, it was 3-0, not 0-0-0-0.
I saw the double 0. I thought, where's the other die? Where's the other die?
Is that like death?
No. Death is if you get hit for 141 plus, you will die.
Jesus.
But if you roll 100 on the percentile dice, things are looking bad.
Yeah. What does 100 do?
100 is you get maimed.
Oh, come on.
Instead, I got 3, not 100.
Just mess up Desmond's pretty face.
So basically, at 100, I blow a limb off.
Oh, come on.
No, it was a 3, not 100.
Or at least give him massive facial scarring. Come on.
He got slowed down as his
That's the critical effect. Well, I'm pretty slow anyway when I'm unconscious, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So on the on his activation this round, he goes last, which is quite hilarious in that sense as he's been knocked out. Okay, so that's the Yakuza's go. Now Georgie or Rakesh can go.
I think Georgie will go.
Yep. You see Desrin on the ground.
How far away is Desrin?
He is only a couple of.
He's at the driver's door.
He's only a couple of steps away.
Georgie briefly looks to Rakesh. Can you drive?
No.
He looks to Hernandez. Can you drive?
Says, of course.
Good. You're driving. Georgie grabs Desrin and drags him into the van.
Okay. Rakesh, you're now up.
So I will. Well, I want to get into the van. How much is that going to cost me in actions?
Okay, so you can do a maneuver to get to the van and a maneuver to get in. As you're not doing any actual actions this round, you don't have to spend 2 strain on your second maneuver.
Alright, that'll do.
Is getting into the van also involve closing the doors behind him?
I'm happy for that.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, so Georgie piles in, you pile in, Hernandez jumps into the van, and he floors it.
Hernandez acts out of initiative because he's that much of a badass.
Well, because remember, two of the Yakuza were no longer acting in their initiative either, because they were also dead.
So Hernandez is that much of a badass, he steals other people's turns.
Well, you wanted him to go before the Yakuza shot, didn't you?
Sure did.
Certainly, he can go before Desmond does. He can take Desmond's slot.
Okay, so he gets in the van and floors it with 2 net successes and enough advantages to plow into the Yakuza in the street.
Enough advantages to take out a small army.
As you hear the clattering of body over the top of the van, bouncing twice and then coming over the end with a loud thump as he goes through.
Yeah.
And he seems to be grinning the whole way as he seems to like this sort of thing.
Yeah, and remember, this is how good he is when he's hungover.
Yeah. Maybe he's completely useless when he's not hungover.
Or at least, presumably he's hungover and not actually still drunk.
No, he's still drunk. Eyes bloodshot and everything. As he slides the van sideways into the busy street. So, you've got Hernandez driving for you in the city. He says, where to next?
Should we tell him where Maria is?
Yeah, so before we answer that, Georgie looks to Rakesh and then gestures towards douchey with douche face. Yeah, Desmond. Can you fix him?
No. I can't.
Shit.
Like, Prime doesn't seem to offer a health.
Right, it doesn't provide health spell automatically. You've got to work harder to get the health.
I don't really understand what all that means, but alright. First of all, Hernandez, I owe you a beer. Second of all,
Since you have
what you're doing.
Since you have a slap patch.
Don't even know. Hang on. Let me go through it. So you can fix him!
Yeah, I
For the
can.
love of God. Here's the deal. I shoot people and hit people. You do the magic-y stuff. And Desmond acts like a douche. We all do our jobs and do everything we can.
Alright.
Okay, so Desmond is on 4 hit points. 5 hit points actually.
Got 11.
Good morning, sunshine.
So Desmond's on 5.
Georgie coughs out a significant amount of blood.
Oh, did you get wounded too?
You got hit hard.
Oh, dude, I'm almost dead. Yeah. I got shot hard and critical.
Right. So why are you encouraging me to slap patch Desiree?
Because Desmond was unconscious.
Because he was dying.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah. Georgie was conscious at the very least.
So Desmond wakes up to the feeling of the van on 2 wheels.
Hello, mate. Well, good morning.
Desmond's immediate action on waking up with the van on 2 wheels, he'll stabilise the bike.
Well, it's good to see you're alright.
You hear from the front. We've got 2 motorbike pursuers behind us. What do you want to do?
Oh, hang on a sec. Do we have a sunroof?
I'm sure you can make one.
I was going to say, we do have, you've got rear doors.
Yeah, I was
on the
going to
van.
say, pass the can opener.
You've got rear doors
Yeah,
on the
rear
van.
doors. That involves us all getting shot.
Only if you open one of them. If you open one of them, there's cover.
There are windows in the rear door as well. You can break the window in the rear door and shoot out of that.
Yeah, I think there would be a penalty.
What about the bullets we're about to receive? With the amount of money we have, I'm happy to pay for a window. Georgie smashes open one of the windows and starts unloading on one of the motorcycles.
Okay.
Turns out it's like diamond-plated glass that shatters very easily, but is worth like half a fortune.
It bends and pops out. It was plastic.
Oh, good.
And the motorcycle's a Lone Star. But hey.
I'll throw your bike at them.
Okay, the van is bouncing around as you shoot. So you ended up with a triumph and multiple failures and a threat. What would you like to do with your triumph?
Okay. The plastic that you popped out knocks one of them off their bike.
Sure, you watch the little plastic thing you knock out as you spray bullets all over the place, not actually hitting anything but air. You're very good at that, apparently. As you're almost hit yourself in the face with the recoil of the machine gun, you see the window get wedged in the wheel and the bike do a tumble in front of you.
No, you see, what nobody realizes is that Georgie was shooting in the areas that would force the motorcycle rider to ride into the plastic.
But hey, he's down.
Georgie gestures to Desrin.
Desmond's still on the floor of the vehicle, so he's not actually seeing it at all, so...
Yeah, so Georgie gestures to the window, gestures Desrin to the window. You want to have a go, mate?
You hear from the front, good shot. One down, one to go.
Thanks.
I'll get up and take a shot at the other one.
Okay. Desrin with his pistol.
I will take 2 strain and aim at the shot.
Take 2 strain to pull some bullshit.
Okay. Just so you know, you have an extra dice on this one because of Rakesh.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That's right. I have been sustaining that for 2 rounds.
Because you get to sustain that one for free, one spell for free, which is why having multiple targets is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. That and that.
That might help Georgie. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. If it helps.
Okay, Desrin hits the other motorcycle with 1 threat.
Nice.
So as you pepper it, you do manage to hit some of the cars around it as well as the motorcycle.
Oh no.
Okay, yep, that's right. I was going to say the threat would probably be got jostled and opened a wound again or something, and he took some damage. But
No. I've got something much better. The threat was his motorcycle falling over.
Okay, so instead of hitting the other cars, as you shoot, you hear the sound of your motorcycle fall over and scrape along the of the floor of the van as it's sliding towards you.
Hernandez is probably like, did someone get shot?
As I'm going to give the Yakuza a piloting roll.
Take out the other motorcycle or not?
I'm giving him a check to see if he can keep his bike going.
Okay.
Apparently he can.
Fair enough.
He does bounce off a few things, and he has dropped his gun, but he's still on the bike. At which point, Hernandez brakes. Not so good for him that time, as you see a face smash into the back of the van, and the body drop as the van takes off.
Georgie would like to take as many strain possible to see if he can open the door to the van and grab the bike.
Okay. I will make that a roll check for you to see if you... Athletics thing?
Declan certainly didn't see the guy hit the back of the van because he was already facing back into the van trying to hit the bike up and...
He also says to Rakesh, catch me!
Okay. So...
Remember, is he still buffed as well?
I wasn't buffed.
Georgie is buffed.
Hernandez is. Hernandez is Hernandez.
Yeah, and Georgie is.
Georgie.
Desmond watches as you see Georgie open the door, reach out and grab the bike and pull the bike up and into the van as the Yakuza is just lying in the middle of the road as you see a car just go straight over the top of him as he looks up. Apparently the auto drive was looking after the needs of the occupant and not the pedestrians.
Yep. So the needs of the one, because the auto drive didn't want to swerve into other vehicles or pedestrians.
It was
the idiot in the middle of the road.
It was the one that would do the less damage to the vehicle.
Solves the trolley program now.
Exactly.
So you're sure he's not going to miss the bike whatsoever?
Okay.
Yep.
As you pull it into the van.
Hey boys, look! I caught me a bike!
Yeah. The tracking.
Hey? What was that, Sarah Jeremy?
You're saying, yeah, the tracking. You know, there's a reason we haven't just collected every vehicle we've come across.
Don't worry about it. I can pull it out. I'll just hit it with ammo anyway. We can sell it for parts. We can use the spare parts on your ship box. It's fine.
Declan will, after making certain that his bike back up again and secured, we'll take a look at the other bike and see if there's what sort of systems are on it that are going to be trackable or make it useless to our purposes.
Okay, so it is paired to the guy's phone, and it basically has a call and collect function.
Yeah.
It is last year's model, so it is still cutting edge, and it most likely has a constant GPS to home, family, and friends of to where it is.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Open those doors, it's going out.
Right, at least make sure we don't hit anyone when we throw it out.
And Dave, what's the real like at the moment? I think it's what we might be people make it. We've got to offload to track this passenger.
Well, he says, hold on, as you feel the van skid to a stop and slide a little bit. He says, just throw it in the alley.
Yep.
Bye-bye. You must admit, it was a good grab, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic grab.
Declan didn't say he was too big to look at his bike.
Ezra, you're bloody useless. Right, Georgie throws it out. Come on, boys, let's go.
Okay, as you take off into the street, Georgie notices two bikes in the distance zoom into the alley where you toss the bike.
Okay.
Yep. Why didn't I put a bomb on it? Oh, damn it.
And up the front you go, where to now, boys? It's getting a bit bright here.
A bloody doctor. I've got so many holes in me, I'll spring a lake and drown.
I know a few docs that don't ask questions.
We can go back to the troll and get magic to you.
The troll's got a name, mate.
Though you also know from the fact that you're not sure if you want to introduce Maria to Hernandez yet, you're not sure where that side of the thing stands.
That's right, obviously, yes. The information we had about Hernandez was not quite accurate, but that doesn't necessarily mean we actually want to show Hernandez where Maria is at this moment in time, so...
Yep. Well, you guys decide where we're going. Georgie crawls up to the front of the van. Mate, I owe you a bloody beer, I tell ya. Also, Maria's got some pretty poor opinions about you, mate.
Well, he says if he will pay you if you can just help make her happy.
Oh, I can make her happy, mate.
He's only 1 year old.
Yeah, but he's been watching TV.
We'll be at a street dock he knows in about 10 minutes.
Alright, I'll see if I can keep living until then.
Well, hold tight. I'm sure it won't bleed that badly.
That's fine. I'm sure I'll probably see worse. Yeah, so do you know why? Can you even think that, like, why she would be doing that?
He doesn't know that they've been getting on well, that he'd been making sure all the charities she wanted were looked after.
Does she have any new friends or anything?
Not that he knows of. She'd been pretty much abandoned by whoever had made her the way she is. And he basically rescued her from a pimp who was basically selling her.
Yeah, right. Well, you actually seem like a good bloke. We thought you were a drug dealing scumbag.
Whoever set him up deserves to get a bullet to the face.
You know what? I've been shot enough by these knobs. I'd be happy to. Would you let me swap that for a sledgehammer to the face?
He's happy, whatever it is, as long as it hurts.
You know what? This bloody hurts enough.
Okay.
I'll start with the legs and move up.
He pulls up in front of a place that you see is called the Brotherhood. They're in the middle of doing up the storefront. He says these guys don't ask questions and will patch you up.
Oh, they're not religious here, are they?
Well, they don't preach very often. Just nod your head and ignore it, and they'll look after you.
Are they the Brotherhood from Seattle?
The Universal Brotherhood.
Universal Brotherhood.
This is well, they're still writing up their shop front. I'm sure it will. That their whole name will be up there eventually. He just knows them as the Brotherhood.
Yep. It'll be fine.
Georgie has no idea who they are, so he's going to hobble his way into.
I guess that's out of game knowledge.
It is because it hasn't happened yet in game.
We know yet.
So Hernandez helps Georgie in.
Yeah. Bloody hell, you can shoot good, so.
Well, he spent more than half his life shooting people for money.
I mean, I've spent literally my entire life, but I'm only a year old, so.
And you haven't been much about shooting people.
I mean, I could shoot you right now.
He's happy to give Georgie some pointers.
Look, I'll always take advice. I'm just more of a smashy, facey kind of thing.
If you shoot them before they smash you, then they have less chance of shooting you in the first place.
Oh, it's a lot of work, mate. Anyway.
Okay, so you have a pretty nurse come up to you.
Please.
So a pretty nurse comes up to you and asks you to disrobe.
So, well, while Georgie's going in to get medical attention, Jason's going to look her to a cash and say, hey, look, I'm thinking I want to get word back to the guys back at the base. I'm a bit concerned about where that trace where it might have gone to and what's going on. Do you want to come with me to get on the bike? Are we leaving him in Hernandez's care? Or if I can grab your phone so we can at least get a phone at the other end as well, and then I'll come back to you guys.
Oh, you go buy a phone, you tit.
So, has Lukash got any thoughts on which way he wants to go?
I reckon buy a second comlink.
We can certainly grab that and go through, but I'm thinking that I'd like to try and get back to these guys as quick as possible.
Hernandez gives you his number, which you've already got.
Yeah.
Which is the number that
Maria gave you.
us.
Yeah.
The number that came through. Yeah.
You also find out with talking to him that he's never had another business number.
Yep. There's a shocker. So,
he's just surprised that he has no idea who that number is or who it goes to.
Right. Well, my concern is that it might go towards the company we just met, and that therefore there might also be some company going back to our friend elsewhere.
Perhaps it'll go towards you shutting up your annoying voice.
Well, if it's Yakuza involved, he says he knows Max Foley's in with the Yakuza.
And would that be of benefit?
Max Foley's the guy that's currently with our friends back with Maria as Maria's current thing.
Ah, right.
The implication
being
that Max Foley was the number that, like it was actually Max Foley's contact number that he provided. And
Are we still going to get paid out of this?
well, we've already been paid some of it anyway, at least. The
Double crossing the Yakuza might not be a good idea.
But my concern is the fact that if the Yakuza are waiting for us at Hernandez's place, what the probability is that they might also be waiting or already got to Maria and the others at our place.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the others, just save Maria, she's too hot.
Well, she is the primary. What's the bodyguard version of target?
That's the
Mark.
principle.
That would be Mark.
Okay.
Or the asset.
Asset would probably be the best one.
The chicken pays us.
Well, actually, she's not.
Jesus.
Hernandez does say he's happy to double or triple Foley's fee if you can just make sure Maria survives it all.
I can do it for free, mate. But if you're going to pay me, alright.
He just wants her to be happy and get back to singing.
Oh, Jesus, we get it. You're a good bloke. Shut up.
Though you also see this as he's giving a donation to the Brotherhood to look after you and not report your holes.
Oh, for the love of God, are you a bloody saint or what? I've got more money than you. I saw your account. You're skint.
Yeah, I always look after my friends, he says.
Right, well, it's good to know you're a friend because you're too good of a shot to not be.
Well,
He also doesn't like killing people, he says.
The Brotherhood need to work with. I'm assuming it'll take at least that they'll be working with him for.
About half an hour, they say. It won't take him too much longer to patch up your hole-ridden friend. Would you like to be seen too as well?
He was religious, so am I, because I'm holy.
And how far in travel time on a bike would it take me to get back to our current hideout?
Following traffic laws or not following traffic laws?
Yeah, both.
Okay, following
Okay.
traffic laws you'd probably take between 30 and 40 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Not following traffic laws, you can probably get there in about 10, but you'd probably get a lot of heat.
So,
You may have to ditch the bike afterwards.
Never mind, we just had a shootout on a main road.
well, but that was a bit back. We got away from that area a bit, so. I hope so.
And besides, it's a van with stickers on there that you can pull off.
Yes, that's right. So.
There's no bullet holes in it either.
But they never had a chance to shoot at the van, they were shooting at you guys.
And even when Declan was very close to the van, they still managed to hit him.
Excellent.
Wow.
There are slight dents in it, but that's about it. It doesn't stand out as too unusual in Seattle.
Yeah. Declan will. Okay, we'll wait around then for Georgie to get patched up.
Does Desrin allow himself to be patched up?
And okay, if they're happy to be if they're happy to hand out the patchings, then Declan's happy to get a bit of patching at the same time. But he'll also be trying to contact Mr. Burns and see if he can get a message to the others at all in the meantime, but recognise that I can't think of any way he would, but he might have some technique up his sleeve that, oh yeah, of course, I can just hack into this. So.
Yep.
Two things. One,
Georgie says that he'll donate some money to the church if they sew a lightning bolt into one of Desrin's bullet holes. And then he also sends a message to his contact to see if he knows if the Yakuza are hanging around our place.
Okay. So yes, that they don't need any donation to sew a lightning bolt in there. They're more than happy to do so. Happy to meet anyone's clan tags. And you get a souvenir of 3 bullets they pulled out of you.
Oh, nice.
And they give Desrin the 10 bullets they pulled out of him.
You only had 3, you said?
Yeah, there's still another 3 in there, mate. They can't get them out.
Well,
So, hang on. Yeah.
Well, for Georgie, most of the shots were clean and through.
Yeah, Georgie pulls off his flak vest and just shakes it out, and a whole bunch of lead falls out.
So yes, you've each gotten souvenirs of your latest run.
Lucky.
Nice.
SoCal gets back to you and says he's got no in at that place. Georgie makes a call on to his friend to check out stuff. His friend says that there's no reported activity in the area.
Vital.
But that doesn't mean that there's no activity.
Yeah. What did we call that organization again? Do you remember?
Which one?
My contact.
Your contact?
Just trying to look it up, and because I know I wrote it down.
It was some cool name. Damn it.
So I haven't got access to any of my notes. I don't know whether I took notes of it or not. But I haven't.
Did I write it on Georgie? We did have it written down somewhere. I'm sure we can look it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Or just watch the videos. I'm sure it's there somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't got anything better to do.
So yes, you have managed to get patched up. That they give you some fresh clothes.
Oh, bloody hell. Thanks, mate.
And it's actually better than what you got in Redmond Barrens.
Yeah, right. Okay. Georgie leaves a significant donation.
So you think the clothing's probably worth about maybe 2,000 credits? You know, cast off from the rich who don't want to wear last year's fashion.
Yeah, right.
They are a community service place, and they also offer you a free meal of hot food, bread, juice.
Georgie politely declines. But he does keep a mental note of this place kicks ass.
They
turns out they're actually some sort of Satanist cult who sacrifices children.
Well, actually, it's a lot worse than that.
That is right.
It's actually a lot worse than that.
I'm not surprised.
And they say
you can join the church and figure it out.
They say Georgie's welcome anytime if you need food, place to sleep, a shoulder to cry on.
I've actually never cried in my entire life, but I'll come around if that ever happens. Thanks.
You really should do some research on the Universal Brotherhood. Just saying.
Yeah,
they help.
Somebody send me a message tomorrow and I'll have a read.
They help everyone. They're here to help.
Are they eating? Are they cannibals? They're cannibals, right?
No, they're actually very nice people.
Cannibals.
They're not cannibals.
Because cannibals eat their own race.
Yeah.
Oh, they're aliens who eat humans.
Yeah.
Much closer.
Well, yes, that's about it.
I'm sure it's far more complicated than that in actual production.
That's right.
Yeah, but as far as Georgie would surmise it to be, that'll do.
Yeah. So, yeah, be careful.
And you notice that they're treating everyone as if they're valued people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
They're a wonderful organisation.
That's right.
Yes.
Because everyone is a person.
And everyone can reach their full potential.
Yeah.
Right, grab my phone and Googling. I literally just got out of bed.
Hey, there's not many places in Shadowrun that are as friendly and helpful as these guys.
That's right. They've got a very much an open door policy. They can help anyone and everybody.
At any time.
It's good that Bart has switched back to 2050.
That's right.
Before it was revealed.
Well, the people who played the setting before now get to experience the fun and horror of what it was actually like.
Exactly.
So, and with that being 10 o'clock and you guys having a good rest, we can finish the storyline with you heading back to your base, leaving Hernandez here to sort out a few things and get rid of the truck for you.
Holy shit!
That sounds like a good plan, Martin.
I believe David was very happy with that idea.
I didn't hear what you said. I was Googling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that will make for many sleepless.
So David,
Joining the church.
he's got his new best friends.
Yep.
So so you get to head back to the others with Hernandez staying here and looking after the van, making sure it gets returned with no bad mark on your hiring policy.
Very good. So, well, and I'm guessing that Desmond will ride back in his motorcycle, or the others will catch an Uber or something, I'm guessing.
They should be able to do that fairly easily. And we'll pick up next session as you tell the others what fun you got into while they were away.
Well, assuming they haven't had lots of fun while we were away.
That's what we shall find out.
Yeah, so what do you think, David? The Universal Brotherhood. What's Google told you about Universal Brotherhood?
I'm just going through a Shadowrun Ricky at the moment.
Yeah.
My holy shit was just reading the blurb of the first paragraph.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Have you got to Chicago yet?
No, man, no.
Something to look
I'm
forward
up
to.
Yeah.
And we might want to leave it off the recording for the moment, just so people who don't know the whole story can experience the fun of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but also from what I'm reading, we probably don't want it on the YouTube video.
Okay, so I will call it a night there, guys. Thank you very much. And next session we'll talk about what you guys want to boost on yourself. And now you've got yourself a new contact, Hernandez.
Indeed.
Amazing,
He outclasses everyone. Yeah, but that's okay.
He can't outclass you in a lot of things. He has no magic. He has no tech skills whatsoever. He is a weapons and music contact.
I was going to say, he's got contacts though.
So
and hey, if we get him back in with Maria, then I'm sure Maria will be happy as well.
well, he was doing personal security for Maria as well as being her agent.
Yeah. So. Okay, then, thank you very much, guys.
Cheers, guys. Have a good
We'll
night.
see. Is there something on Friday at the moment, Martin?
At the moment, Friday should be Pathfinder 2.
Right. Yep.
So so that the characters who moved over should still be continuing their walk through the temple.
That's like the tomb of the elementalist, you mean?
Yep.
I should be there, but it may depend upon exactly what Rory's doing for her stuff. So it might be a case where I'll have to phone in initially and then jump on a bit later on type stuff. But I'll work out what's happening and I'll let you know closer to the time.
That's perfectly
Oh
fine.
God, I've just started Chicago.
Okay, we'll leave it at that then.
Something to look forward to. Good night, everyone.
Good night all. Thanks very much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.